In the landscape of Hollywood today, it's been incredibly rare for the industry to produce or profit off of original blockbusters, ones that aren't related to an individual property, a best-selling novel, a true historical event, a beloved video game, etc., etc. This can also be said for directors who want to unleash their creative vision to the world, whether it's something entirely innovative or a production company putting their faith on a director to unfold a story from their established property into something that fits his or her direction and benefits the studios altogether. Sometimes it can be done for better with directors like Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, and at other times, you wouldn't end up getting meretricious cinematic colostomy bags like these. One of those directors who dealt with these circumstances was Gareth Edwards, director of Monsters, 2014's Godzilla, and most especially Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. A film that is notorious for reshooting 40% of the project, with multiple redrafts from numerous writers trying to turn the movie into a lighthearted, adventurous addition to the canon, since Disney didn't think that Edwards' vision of a grounded war film set in the Star Wars universe was consumer friendly. Regardless of the drama behind the scenes, the film made money, $1 billion worldwide, but the vision Gareth wanted never became a reality. 3 years after Rogue One's release, Edwards started working on a script along with co-writer Chris Weitz on an original science fiction project under 20th Century Fox and Regency about a world amid global warfare between humanity and artificial intelligence. With production lasting 4 years, The Creator, a movie I have been feverishly waiting for so long, finally arrives into theaters. How The Creator came to be is unfathomable given the lengths that a director like Gareth Edwards is willing to make the impossible possible. It should be something that should be commended respectfully, and did it exceed my expectations going in? Is it one of the best films of the year? Sadly not. But is it still great? You betcha. The Creator is Edwards' best movie to date. It is a cinematic dream come true for his career after being toyed by studio interference, only to resurge his filmmaking name in a movie that, while not a masterpiece, is still a cinematic vision worth seeing. The premise is a familiar one in the sci-fi genre. It's the middle of the 21st century, and humanity has made technological advancements, transforming robots from household and company mechanisms into ones who contribute to society similar to that of the everyday citizen, thanks to artificial intelligence. Everything seems prosperous until an AI detonates a nuclear warhead in Los Angeles, leaving the United States to rid the world from robots for the sake of saving the human race. Our story kicks off in the year 2070. Former military sergeant and widower Joshua Taylor, played by John David Washington, is instructed by the US Army that Nirmata, the worshipped constructor of the cyborg human paradise New Asia, has developed a new weapon in a hidden laboratory that could possibly turn the tide of the war, and upon discovery realizes that it's in the form of a little cybernetic girl called Alpha O, or what Taylor calls her later on, Alfie. With the weapon at his side, Taylor's worldview begins to alter, and he unravels clues from Alfie indicating that his deceased wife might be alive. So the questions remain: can Taylor and Alfie cease the devastating war between humans and AI? Is Taylor's wife still alive? And is there a chance for the two sides to coexist once more? Of course, much like how I itemized in my 9 review, the premise is no different from any other sci-fi tale that you've seen before. And there are moments where you can see some of the similarities that have been used in Gareth's previous work, whereas rebels are trying to use a weapon to eliminate a fully armed and operational battle station in the sky. But the dynamic execution in the grand scale of things is what truly matters, which is what makes this movie come off as something original. The majority of it is due to how well the character work is and how much it functions narratively for most of the movie. Each decision a character makes is identifiable with their perspectives and their motivations, and it fuels their development up through solid cause and effect. And the script, for the first 2 acts, does a great job at executing narrative risks to make itself stand out from the sci-fi genre. Additionally, both Edwards and Weitz do a commendable job of being morally gray with the humans and the simulants, another word for AI citizens, explaining that there's more nuance to the story than just saying one side is comically evil and the other is harmonious and peaceful, with perspectives through media reports, authentic character interactions presenting their motivations for the cause they support, and the dialogue being used genuinely from them that never once feels like a crowbarred exposition dump. What were once ideas for the Rogue One script are now being brought into this project, and it's being presented fluidly for a good chunk of it. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that the script doesn't have problems. In specific sections, when our characters are being put in a position that could get them caught or killed, it's like Weitz and Edwards didn't know what to do and just decided to write their protagonists out of a situation through cheap conveniences. Some convenient scenes can be plausible to an extent, with some animals based on their instincts causing things to happen that do or don't move the story forward, but there are some inexcusable ones, in which case our characters at any opportune moment would find clothing to disguise themselves with, or a contrived piece of storytelling in the third act that I will get to when discussing the world building. Regarding the performances, there isn't a single one in this movie that I can describe as mediocre or a waste of screen presence. Every single one of them is directed with expertise, like Gemma Chan as Taylor's late wife Maya, Ken Watanabe as a simulant soldier fighting for survival, Allison Janney, who commands the screen with stone-cold intensity as one of the film's dimensional antagonists, Colonel Howell. And it was also pretty welcoming to see Ralph Ineson take on the role of a calculating and methodical general, and his performance is just as such. Then you have the main actors of the picture. The common complaint for John David Washington is that he tries too much to emulate the acting of his father, Denzel Washington, and it's been a complaint for projects like BlacKkKlansman and Tenet. However, with the creator, he's given more ability to expand his range as an actor, and it shows. As we witness his character go through dramatic hardships, Washington is able to pull off the emotion and stress of a man who feels the weight of the world on his shoulders, striving for what's best for humanity's survival while trying to find redemption for his own past mistakes. But the contest as to who stole the spotlight the most isn't even close, and that goes to none other than Madela Yuna-Voiles as Alfie. Having heard that this was her acting debut, she delivers one of the best performances by a child actor this decade has ever seen, capturing both the presence of an emotionless, overpowered cyborg and the childlike innocence of a young girl trying to understand her purpose and why she was created in a world full of turmoil and dread. Not to mention, both her and Washington share remarkable chemistry, and with whatever performance they can bring to their parts, make up for some incredible scenes of character development that might tug on your heartstrings, even in the latter segments of the movie. Up next is an element that will give Oppenheimer some serious competition come Oscar season. The creator is a technological masterpiece. This movie does not have a massive budget like many other blockbusters today. It lands on a budget of $80 million, and I swear to you all, without any kind of hyperbole, this is one of the most visually impeccable, inexpensive movies since District 9. In terms of manufacturing visual effects to match the vision of one's world building, the creator is one of the finest examples of how to take advantage of a budget to the greatest of a director's capabilities. The film, for a good majority of it, does exceptionally well at showing us how far humanity has gone technologically. From the futuristic city of Los Angeles to the coexisting Blade Runner-inspired haven of New Asia, the intricate cyberpunk designs of the AI and the simulants, the weaponry, the vehicles, the holograms, even the hovering menace of humanity's death machine and space station, the USS Nomad. It's all stunning, and it makes sense to the world that they're establishing, a near-futuristic version of what our Earth might look like when sharing it with humanized robots. However, some of it comes at the cost of contrived storytelling, in which, no spoilers, the writers would introduce a last-minute addition to the world building to help our heroes escape in time that would just make you go, wait a minute! You can't just introduce that thing in the last act just like that. This wasn't even mentioned or even hinted at in a line of dialogue. Now you're just cheating. As we are getting closer to wrapping things up, The last thing I want to say is that I've stated about Greg Fraser's sublime camera work when it came to the Batman. With the creator, he continues to strike cinematic gold with his camera work. Every frame is eye-popping and engrosses you into the film's environment, one of the film's many action set pieces and ambushes, and even during moments of triumph, hope, and sorrow that transpires. And there's no other way to complement the film's cinematography than Hans Zimmer's genuinely terrific score, emphasizing dire and heart-wrenching situations that in no way comes across as overblown, sappy, or self-important. The creator has all the devices necessary to be the next science fiction masterpiece, and yet it's just a movie that's just great rather than being one for the ages. It should have been a movie that joins along the ranks of Blade Runner, its sequel, District 9, and Children of Men. It has visual effects that rival some of the greatest science fiction works of our time. The production, the direction, the spectacle, it has perfection written all over it. And yet, it is held back by clunky narrative decisions. However, despite all my gripes, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't take time out of your day to go see something supremely underrated. In fact, I can definitely see this movie having a cult following in the preceding years. The creator isn't perfect, but as far as creative visions go for a director like Gareth Edwards, it's quite impressive, if I do say so myself. My name is Luke Nukem, and you, my friends, have been blown away.